Dear students, welcome to Bishop Academy online classes in social science. Student of class 10th, we get discussed over the subject histories, lesson 3, nationalism in India, and it is the third part of this chapter in which we get discussed over towards civil disobedience. So here you find that civil disobedience movement get started by Mahatma Gandhi with breaking salt law, and for that they started with their Sabarmati ashram and reached to Dandi. From there he make salt from ocean water, and thus the break the salt law imposed by British over Indian people. So now you have to know about the conditions which led towards civil disobedience movement. Among them, the very first condition is due to failure of Simon Commission. Simon Commission sent to India to get or provide report over the capability of Indian people to manage the administration on modern line, but there is no Indian representative. That's why this commission was not accepted by Indian people, and Indian people started mass agitation in which Lala Lajpat Rai has been died due to lathi charge by British officials, and he proclaimed a most famous statement that मेरे बॉडी पर पड़ी हुई लाठी की एक एक चोट भारत में ब्रिटिश साम्राज्य के ताबूत की किले बनेंगी, which could be seen right in forthcoming years. Next, that is Lord Irwin offered India for Dominion states, that has been refused by most of the young Indian Congress leaders. Along with it, in Lahore Congress session, the leaders passed resolution for complete independence, which could not be accepted by British government. Along with it, on 31st January 1930, Gandhiji sent 11 demands to Lord Irwin, which were denied by him. What these 11 demands are? Among them, the first is to government have to withdraw the salt laws, even they have to decrease the salary of ICS officers, and even they have to provide some benefits to the Indian traders, and the liquor shops ought to be closed as it is the root cause of class and poverty among Indian people. Such type of 11 demands has been, even the trade of opium could also be denied by this 11 points. Along with it, Mahatma Gandhi wanted to brought everyone in a united combination, and that's why he started civil disobedience movement, as people like to break laws, not in India, in all part of the world. As you see in France, at the very first time, people gathered together for the storming Bastille. Here you find differing strands within the movement. Various type of community participated in this movement with their different type of objectives and played different type of roles. As in towns, industrial workers class did not provide full support to the movement, as Congress did not include their demand in the movement under fear of losing support from industrialists. It is not quite easy to manage, or you can say handle, such type of conditions where you have to put both the factory owner and workers together under this breaking laws. Certainly, laws could not be uniform for each person, and that's why having some trouble. Here also, due to relaxation in labor laws could not be imposed by Congress, and that's why most of the industrial working organization or leaders could not provide their support to the movement, but still the people which have national sentiments provide their full support to the movement. Along with it, on economical front, the business class formed Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industries in 1927 and started to resolve the problem which has been facing by Indian industrialists, and they started to understand that British government is not beneficial for themselves in the field of trade, though they are making some profits, but these profits could not be long lasting, and that's why they provided support to Congress in the civil disobedience movement. But later they are gone on back foot due to various reasons. Among them, the very first reason is the failure of Round Table Conference, which provided them glimpse that in forthcoming years India do not get its independence, as the Indian leaders do not participated in Round Table Conference. That's why there is created a what you call deadline under which the what you called business prolonged disruption could be created due to anarchy in the society, and they also have afraid of spread of militant activities. Along with it, they have also fear about the influence of socialism in Congress leader. They have fear that if India become independent, then government seize entire their properties and factories. That's why in the later stage of civil disobedience movement, they do not continue the support to Congress. Along with it, rebellion in countryside. In the village areas, two type of persons are there. First, rich peasants, which provided support to Congress for getting relaxed in revenue, as entire these rich peasants get what you called their particular area under bid system. So that's why they are the owner of a vast area, and that's why they want just decrease in revenue. Along with it, the poor peasants which get the land from this rich peasants started to get wants to get relax in rent, as they get land in rent from these landlords. That's why they tried their best for no tax compegan, but Congress do not provide much support to this no tax compegan, as it is gone against the what you called interest of this rich peasant communities. Along with it, rebellion in forest could also be seen there, that tribal people ignored the forest laws and enter to the forest for getting for providing fodder to their cattle and for collecting firewoods from the forest. Along with it, women participated in the movement on the massive scale, and we can also say that the success of this civil disobedience movement is completely based on the help of this woman which come in this movement, but still Congress do not provide them what you call major responsibility in this movement. If we provide what you call neglect some of the outstanding leaders of that time, the representation of women in leadership is quite nominal. Along with it, Dalit organization also provide their full support to this movement after Pune Pact. Now you have to know about consequences and effects. So this civil disobedience movement never gets success in getting full support from all sections of Indian society, and that's why we have to wait for at least what you called 10 to 15 years for getting independence. Otherwise, if the people of India, all group and communities of people provide supports to this civil disobedience movement, then India get freedom in just 1935 or a year before it. Along with it, there was an atmosphere of suspicion and disturbance between societies due to British policy of divide and rule. That's why most of the persons are suspicious about their counterparts in the society. Along with it, British called Indian representatives in round table conference, but people, Indian leaders do not provide their full support through this round table conference. As in the first round table conference, Mahatma Gandhi didn't participated because they called all other representatives from India, and Gandhiji is rigid over that Congress is a overall organization from India. That's why it is not necessary to talk with other community. That's why first round table conference get completely abrupted, and in second round table conference Mahatma Gandhi joined the conference, but there they have to create get a class with B.R. Ambedkar, and from returning from there he just signed Pune Pact, and third round conference once again Gandhiji denied to participate in it. Along with it, in March 1931 Gandhiji Pact was signed, which provide relax to both Indian and British representatives. Certainly there are certain factors which are responsible for it, as most of the Congress leaders are in prison, and that's why the movement could not be carried on for a long time, and that's why Gandhiji want the political prisoner to be freed. On the other hand, due to this civil disobedience movement, there is a threat of law and order, and that's why Lord Irwin provide this treaty with Mahatma Gandhi, so that the law and order could be established in our country. Along with it, finally in 1934 the movement was finally called off by Gandhiji, as Gandhiji do not get more support from Indian people to carry on this civil disobedience movement, or we can also say it that this movement died of its own. Gandhiji only just declare the end of this movement. Along with it, main activities after the withdrawal of the non-cooperation movement, it's quite clear, you have to know it very well. Government of India Act of 1935 was imposed in India, under which various type of administrative reform could be adopted in India, but certainly it is not the as per the demand of Indian leaders, as before in non-cooperation movement, Indian people called for administrative reform, which is the demand of Indian leaders in 1920 and onward, but they fulfill this demand in 1935, and you know it very well that in Lahore session of Congress in 1929, Indian people already declared the resolution for complete independence, and this act do not provide any glimpse about this complete independence. Along with it, common elections were held throughout the India for Legislative Assembly, which is seen as the first step towards establishment of free Indian government. Along with it, Congress minister resigned from the British government because the British government did not get approval from themselves for sending army against Germany in Second World War. Due to this type of act, Indian leaders get international recognition, and that's why even the India get a foundation member. India become the foundation member in the international organization like UNO. Due to this their active role in national as well as international politics, Indian leaders proved their capability of influencing not only the people of India but the people of entire world with a new mission and motto. Now you have to know about the differences between the civil disobedience movement and non-cooperation movement. First, the non-cooperation movement was launched between 1920 and 22. while the civil disobedience movement continued between 1929 to 1934. There is the at least 10-year age difference between these two movements. Along with it, the non-cooperation movement was launched against the martial law, which imposed in Indian society under Rowlatt Act and killing of innocent people in Jallianwala Bagh. It is the sudden what you called happening which inflamed the non-cooperation movement. But here the civil disobedience movement was launched against Simon Commission. Along with it, administrative reform was the aim of non-cooperation movement. On the other hand, complete independence was the aim of civil disobedience movement. In this movement, Indian people provided the information to the British government that we do not provide you support, as they make it clear in non-cooperation movement. In civil disobedience movement, they make it clear that we do not follow your rules, regulations, laws, institutions. And at that time, they just talk to the people that why are you staying here? If we do not provide you support in any sphere of life, then it is not essential for you to stay here, and that's why you have to leave India. Okay. Next, the non-cooperation movement was an examination of Indian leadership, as at that time it was in their initial stage. But the civil disobedience movement was full-fledged mass movement under leadership of Congress, or you can say Gandhiji. That's why means to say civil disobedience movement have impact in different part of our country, but on a small scale. As in, we find that this type of movement could be seen in Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, or even you can find in what you call Tamil Nadu, Madhya Pradesh. But rest of the states, even Amritsar or what you call Punjab, okay. But most of the states remain quiet under this non-cooperation movement. But in what you called civil disobedience movement, all the representatives from different part of our country participated in it. That's why it is considered as the mass movement under the leadership of then contemporary leaders. Non-cooperation movement was drawn by the Congress. As you find, after Chauri Chaura incidents, Gandhiji called off the movement as the movement become violent, and it provided the Britishers the chance to suppress the movement as they suppressed it in 1857. But civil disobedience movement died of its own. Okay. So here I provide you a lot of information about civil disobedience movement. If you have still remain some of the confusion, you could ask it to me on Google Classroom. Thank you.